Why do you think that I'm saying that? Unless you personally think that I'm in favor of like random college students getting fucking brutally murdered horrifically. The underlying premise here that allowed you to arrive at this conclusion is your own personal biases against me. I want to solve the crisis of crime. I recognize that crime is a product of our material conditions. Any other way to try and quote unquote solve crime, like pointing this to immigration, like pointing the finger of blame at immigration protocols, is actually unproductive and shifts the responsibility away from the actual reasons as to why crime occurs. That's it. That's like saying stop having babies because some will do crimes. Yeah. Anyway, this is some good news. FTC, Lena Khan, doing it yet again, fighting the Kroger Albertson mega merger. Kroger and Albertson for the Southwestern and Western Front are the two primary major supermarket chains. For those of you on the East Coast, you've probably never maybe encountered Kroger or Albertson or any of their subsidiaries. But these are the two major national chains that have a shit ton of other chains underneath them. And there's Kroger's and Okay, Kroger. Oh my God, I don't care. Kroger. God, English is such a dumb language phonetically. It's like, anyway. There are Albertson subs out east. Okay. What I was trying to say before getting rudely interrupted. Yes, Albertson owns Vaughn's also. So they want to merge for obvious reasons. And their claim is Kroger and Albertson's claims are that they cannot compete with the national supermarket chains like Walmart and Amazon. And the only way for them to continue surviving is by merging. Okay? Now, what's really interesting about this FTC fight is that three different states have launched lawsuits against this merger. And the FTC isn't advocating antitrust on this on the most notorious way since the Reagan era, where you can advocate for antitrust, which is the consumer experience. In the United States of America, after the 80s, but especially so after Ronald Reagan, we changed the way that we analyze trusts and trust busting. We decided that the only way that you can go after a monopoly is if they are actually hurting the consumer. If the prices stay low, you can do whatever you want. You can become a monopoly. But this is being legislated, or not legislated, but like this is being targeted, this trust busting is being targeted on the labor side because this merger is functionally creating a singular buyer of resources, specifically labor. So this is actually not just a historic FTC fight for going against two massive mega corporations trying to engage in a mega merger, but instead, it's also being fought on labor protection grounds, which is correct, and it should have existed, and it did exist at a certain point, but this is actually a really interesting development in the FTC. Now, Kroger, and Albertson's advocacy on why they must merge, by the way, is that they are doing it on pro-union grounds. They're claiming that they are unionized shops and their competition, Walmart and Amazon, are not. Now, of course, that's a ridiculous fucking proposition, considering that this mega merger would make it so that unions have less leverage against the mega corporation that would form. Let's continue.
Blocked the largest grocery store merger in American history. The Federal Trade Commission, along with several states, are suing to stop the proposed $25 billion deal between Kroger and Albertson. Jolene Kent is tracking this would-be merger. Jolene, good morning to you. So why are regulators stepping in here?
Hey, Tony, good morning. The FTC argued that the merger of Kroger and Albertsons would be bad for competition, lowering worker wages at the grocery store and driving up the cost of food, which has soared since the pandemic thanks to inflation. Now, last year, grocery prices went up by 5%. You probably felt that, roughly double the 20-year average.
Our union rep where I worked actively told us to vote for our most recent contractor quit. Yes, not all unions are equal. And as far as I understand, I don't want to misspeak here, but as far as I understand, a lot of the supermarket unions that exist are like managerial unions, as in not a union for managers, but a corporate union, more so interested in looking like a union, but is completely captured by the interests of the capital owning class. This is what I have heard.
Average, and the year before that, they skyrocketed by more than 11%. Now, this deal would give Kroger and Albertsons control of more than 10% of the domestic grocery market, and combined, the companies employ roughly 700,000 people across 48 states, Tony.
A lot of people, a lot of customers. That's the government's view you just laid out. What are the companies saying?
Yeah, they say that this bigger footprint that they want to achieve would help them better compete against the big behemoths like Walmart and Costco and Amazon. In a statement, Albertson said it's disappointed that the FTC is using, quote, the same outdated view of the U.S. grocery industry that it used 20 years ago. Both companies argue this merger would lower prices for consumers and create good-paying union jobs, although the union that's representing the workers from both of those grocery chains opposes this merger, saying the companies have not been transparent enough in this deal. So, of course, this is the latest mega merger that you're hearing about. The Biden administration's FTC has consistently been stepping in to stop these mergers, and they consistently are citing antitrust law.
Jolene saying grocery as a person from Minnesota, while I say grocery. Subtle difference, but this is a geographic difference. You'll once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Jolene Kent, thank you very much.
Those Midwest vibes.
How would it possibly lower prices unless they lay off half the combined staff? I mean, it's the same exact way that Amazon is able to maintain lower prices. We don't need mergers. We need to break up these bigger businesses that add the innovation and lower prices. Yes. Would shit like this get passed under Trump? Yes. It depends on how much Trump has gutted the FTC at that point, but most likely, yeah.
Midwest vibes all.
I have always maintained the position that Biden's federal agencies have basically propped up this administration's every big W. Okay? The NLRB, the FTC, they are doing actually great work overall. This is a historic moment. Lena Khan has done historic things. This is the other often forgotten side of politics that I regularly talk about. The people that make everything work behind the scenes. Also, I didn't know that the grocery thing was a real thing. I just say groceries. What, isn't it groceries?
You hear it, you can't. Subtle difference. Grocery, as a person from Minnesota, while I say grocery. Subtle difference.
Grocery. It's groceries. I mean, not that it matters. It literally doesn't matter. Fuck them. All right. Let's talk about the Michigan